Hey everyone, big markets think simple here. Did you use ChatGPT yesterday? Watch YouTube, stream Netflix? That's all electricity, a mind-blowing amount of electricity. And right now, the entire world is in a full-blown crisis over where to get it. AI eats power in ways most people can't even imagine. Every single ChatGPT conversation burns roughly 10 times more electricity than a Google search. To feed that hunger, nuclear power plants have become absolutely critical, and the number of companies on Earth that can actually build the heart of a nuclear plant, you can count them on one hand. One of them is a Korean company called Doosan Enerbility. But here's the twist. A few years ago, this company's stock got absolutely obliterated, down over 80%. Creditors stepped in. The media said it was done. And yet today, governments and big tech are lining up to place orders. So how did this company come back from the dead? And why does it matter so much in the age of AI? Let's break it all down in a way that actually makes sense. This video is not investment advice. It's for educational, entertainment, and informational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. Any investment decisions are your own responsibility. So what exactly does Doosan Enerbility make? Simple answer, the machines that go inside power plants. And honestly, how a power plant works is almost embarrassingly simple. You know how a tea kettle works? You boil water, steam shoots out, and if you put a pinwheel in front of it, it spins. That's literally it. A power plant is just that, except the kettle is the size of a skyscraper and the pinwheel is bigger than an airplane wing. The fuel you use determines the type. Coal makes it a coal plant, natural gas makes it a gas plant, and nuclear reactions make it a nuclear plant. At the end of the day, a power plant is just the world's biggest, most powerful kettle running 24/7 to keep entire cities lit. Now, inside that massive system, the two hardest and most valuable pieces of equipment are the reactor vessel, the kettle that does the boiling, and the turbine, the giant spinning pinwheel powered by steam. Those two things, that's exactly what Doosan Enerbility builds. Doosan Enerbility has three main products they're pushing hard right now: nuclear reactor vessels, gas turbines, and SMRs. First up, reactor vessels. This is the heart of a nuclear power plant, where the actual fission happens. Think of it as the kettle. But here's why it's insanely hard to make. Nuclear fuel burns at hundreds of degrees, throws off radiation, and the vessel holding all of that cannot develop a single crack for 60 years. 60 years. Your car starts falling apart after 10. This thing has to be flawless for 6 decades. It weighs 500 tons, roughly the same as 2 fully loaded Boeing 747s. It's made from special steel over 8 inches thick. But Doosan's real secret, they don't just buy raw steel and cut it down. They literally melt iron ore and forge the material themselves from scratch. Think of it like a chef who doesn't just cook the steak, they raise the cattle, butcher it, and then grill it. Then they press it using a 19,000-ton hydraulic press. That's the equivalent of 2 Eiffel Towers worth of force crushing steel into shape. No welding, precision machined down to 0.004 inches. This is called cast and forge technology. Just the equipment alone costs hundreds of millions of dollars, and getting nuclear-grade certification takes over a decade. That's exactly why almost no one else can do this. The number of companies in the world that can? A handful. Regular manufacturers don't even dream about it. Next is gas turbines. These burn natural gas to spin a turbine and generate electricity. Some people argue this is actually harder to build than a reactor vessel. Here's why. Inside a gas turbine, there are blades spinning in flames that exceed 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than lava. Steel melts at that temperature, but those blades absolutely cannot melt. So they're made from exotic super alloys with tiny cooling channels drilled through the inside to keep them from burning up. And while all that's happening, those blades are spinning 3,000 times per minute inside an 36-foot machine with a tolerance of less than 0.002 inches. That's thinner than a human hair. This thing is more complex than a jet engine. Only 5 countries in the world can build one: Germany, the US, Japan, Italy, and in 2019, South Korea became the 5th through Doosan Enerbility. third is SMRs, small modular reactors. If a traditional nuclear plant is the size of a football stadium, an SMR is more like an Olympic swimming pool, way smaller, way faster to build. Right now, U.S. companies like NuScale and xAI are designing SMRs, but there's a problem. They can design them, but they don't have factories to actually manufacture them, so they come to Doosan. You design it, we'll build it. Just like how NVIDIA designs the GPU and TSMC manufactures it, Doosan is playing the role of the nuclear industry's TSMC. Doosan is currently building a dedicated SMR manufacturing facility, $560 million investment, set to open in 2028. No matter which SMR company ends up winning the market, Doosan will be the one making them. They also build entire power plants from the ground up, design to construction, the full package, like the Czech nuclear project and gas plants across the Middle East. But here's what really matters. All of this happens under one roof. Melting iron, engineering, manufacturing, inspection, all done at their Changwon facility, the only factory on Earth that can do all of this in one place. It covers an area 1.5 times the size of New York Central Park. Why does that matter? Because building a single nuclear plant costs over $7 billion, and the thing that terrifies every country placing that order? Missing a deadline. One late part, and the entire construction project freezes. Doosan Enerbility has delivered on time for every single project over 40 years. UAE's Baraka nuclear plant, South Korea's Shinhanul plant, 0 missed deadlines. That track record builds a wall that new competitors can't climb over, and one mistake from an existing competitor gets them eliminated. This market gets more concentrated over time, and Doosan is one of the last ones standing.
So why not just build more solar panels? Here's where the problem kicks in. Solar stops at night. Wind stops when the air is calm. But data centers cannot go down for even 1 second. Imagine ChatGPT popping up a message at midnight saying, "No wind tonight, service temporarily offline." Obviously, that's not happening. When you strip it all down, there are only 2 energy sources that run 24/7, 365 days a year, rain or shine: nuclear and gas turbines. And that's exactly the conclusion every major tech company reached at the same time. Microsoft reopened 3 Mile Island, the plant that had been shut down for decades. Google signed contracts with SMR developers. Amazon locked in nuclear power purchase agreements. President Trump signed executive orders pushing nuclear energy from day 1 of his term. The entire world started sprinting toward nuclear at the exact same moment. But here's the real problem. Nuclear plants take 10 years to build. Data centers need power right now. The bridge between those 2 points is gas turbines. But if you order from GE or Siemens, you're waiting 5 to 7 years. Doosan, 1 to 3 years. That's why they were able to lock in contracts for 12 gas turbines with U.S. big tech companies. And the numbers show it. 2024 new orders, $5.1 billion. 2025 new orders, $10.2 billion. Doubled in a single year. Current backlog, $15.9 billion. Annual revenue is around $5.5 billion, meaning they have nearly 3 years' worth of work already sitting in the pipeline. Revenue is $5.5 billion, operating profit $209 million, operating margin 3.8%. Looking at those numbers, you might think, that's it? But there's a reason. A big chunk of current revenue still comes from older, low-margin coal contracts signed years ago. The new nuclear and gas turbine contracts carry much higher margins. Those start flowing through the income statement starting in 2026. By 2030, the operating margin is projected to hit 9.9%, nearly triple where it is today. Right now, they're planting seeds. The harvest starts in 2026. But here's what I want you to understand. Don't look at this company and think they just got lucky riding the AI wave. This company has a 63-year story soaked in blood, sweat, and near-death experiences. It starts in 1962. Chung In-young, the younger brother of Hyundai Group founder Chung Ju-young, founded a company called Hyundai Yanghang. They started by making spoons and forks. They took that money and built what was then the world's largest industrial machinery plant in Changwon, South Korea. In 1979, they manufactured the country's first nuclear plant components and looked ready to take off. But the world had other plans. In 1980, when the government changed, the factory was forcibly seized and the company was renamed Korea Heavy Industries. In 2001, Doosan, which at the time was basically a consumer goods company selling beer, bought it. They acquired a state-owned industrial giant with over $2.8 billion in assets for somewhere around $220 million. People laughed. A shrimp swallowed a whale. They'll collapse in a year. But Doosan proved everyone wrong. In 2009, they secured South Korea's first-ever nuclear export, the UAE's Baraka nuclear plant, and entered their golden era. Then, the real crisis hit. In 2017, the South Korean government launched a sweeping anti-nuclear policy, abruptly halting all domestic nuclear contracts. The stock crashed over 80%. The company entered creditor management. They sold off prized assets just to survive. They were one step from total collapse. But even in that near-death moment, Chairman Park Ji-won refused to let go of one single thing: domestically manufacturing a large gas turbine. Everyone around him said he was throwing money away on a sinking ship. He poured over $690 million into it anyway. And in 2019, South Korea became the 5th country in the world to successfully develop a domestically built large gas turbine. Nobody knew it at the time, but that seemingly reckless obsession would turn out to be the move that saved the entire company when the AI era arrived. Right as they rebranded to Doosan Enerbility, leaving the coal era behind, the AI explosion hit. A company that nearly suffocated under anti-nuclear policy survived on pure grit for a decade and walked straight into the center of the AI age. Sometimes history has the craziest sense of irony.
All right, by now you're probably thinking, okay, this company sounds solid, but there's no such thing as a risk-free business, and you need to know what you're walking into. First, this company lives and dies by energy policy. We already saw it. One anti-nuclear policy in 2017 wiped out 80% of the stock. The world is rushing toward nuclear right now, but policy can flip. What happens if a multi-billion-dollar project like the Czech nuclear deal falls apart for political reasons? We've already seen what that does to the stock price. Second, this is a boom and bust business. Power plants last 40 years after you build them. Orders cluster, then dry up completely. The $15.9 billion backlog looks solid today, but if one large project gets delayed, revenue takes a hit. Third, they're carrying $10.4 billion in debt. That's the bill left over from surviving the last crisis. For now, they're managing it, but if interest rates rise or the economy freezes, that debt becomes a serious problem. Fourth, SMR is still a waiting game. SMRs are absolutely the future, but for them to actually move the needle in a big way, we're probably looking at 2030 at the earliest. The question is whether you can hold on through the volatility until then. But here's the thing. 63 years of master craftsmanship and 40 years of zero-missed deadlines don't just disappear. And the fact that this company has bulldozed through every single one of these risks to get where it is today, that's exactly what makes Doosan Enerbility what it is. After 63 years of a story that reads like a Hollywood survival film, Doosan Enerbility has become the beating heart powering the AI era. A company that started making silverware, nearly went completely bankrupt, is now one of the most critical players in global power supply. But I don't think this is luck. Pouring $690 million into a gas turbine when nobody believed in you, delivering on time for 40 straight years without a single miss, that kind of obsession met the AI era, and it was ready. Opportunity doesn't find random people, it finds prepared ones. And it turns out the same goes for companies. So what do you think? Where does this giant kettle go from here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you got value from today's video, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button.